If you have filled up your car lately, you've probably noticed that gas prices have been creeping back up.
I want to remind you of some ways that you can increase your gas mileage, though. Our Monday morning mechanic, David Rogers from Keller Brothers Auto Repair, is with us live again to show us this morning. Hi, David.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Tom, we're going to do some fuel injector flushing later. I might be able to help you with that sinus thing a little bit, my friend.
Maybe.
Hey, seriously, just a couple of weeks ago, I fill up my vehicle. It has to take a higher octane. It's a premium. And I bought that for $1.54 or something a gallon. I just heard this morning on the way in, $1.84 a gallon for regular is now the average in Colorado. So it's time we talk about this. You know, we talked before a little bit about fuel economy. You know, a dirty fuel filter is like you trying to run, you know, a race holding a rag over your mouth that's all clogged with dirt and oil. I mean, just imagine it. The car has to work so much harder to breathe. It's going to burn up a ton of gas. You know, these things here, you know, they're basically caps, okay? The rotor spins around inside there. You can see how these ones, they look kind of burned inside. I think maybe you can see that, those little burn marks in there. You know, when this starts looking old, it's time to replace it. I mean, it's just that simple. Spark plugs, when you see that they can be fouled or they can be burned, you know, they really need to be replaced on a regular basis. You hear people say, oh, you can go 100,000 miles. Better be checking it in the meantime or you could have a major expense. Another thing that we think about often is fuel filters. Just like the air filter, only the fuel goes through it, of course, instead of air. And I've cut this one away. You can see it's just paper in there, so it can clog up really fast. With gasoline samples, you know, looking so crummy, even this fresh sample doesn't look all that good that I got, and this is right out of a gas tank. So that's what that fuel filter is doing. It's keeping that from going into your injectors and into your fuel pump. This thing is actually sitting submerged in gasoline in your tank. That's the little float that tells the gauge on the front how full it is. But the fact is, this is submerged in gasoline, and it's got this little tiny filter attached to it. Well, that's going to clog up in no time. So, you know, at a cost of $500, $700 to replace one of these things, I would think maybe doing a filter for $60, $80, $100 once a year might be a better investment of your time and keep you from being stranded. We have some electronic components that sometimes aren't discussed, and this is like a mass airflow sensor. I mean, you start thinking about these things when they get dirty. Again, you know, you've got sensors inside here that speak to the car's computer and tell it how to mix, you know, gasoline and air and such, and how to compensate. And when this is dirty, it's giving bad information to the computer, so it's going to be wasteful. And it's the same thing with this throttle plate. It's kind of like what you used to have, you know, on the carburetors. And, you know, you've got, you know, air or fuel traveling through these spaces, and when things get dirty, they're not going to work efficiently, they're not going to seal tight, there's going to be spillage, there's going to be wasted gasoline, and, you know, not only are you hurting the environment, but you're costing yourself serious dough right now. Another thing that you can do to help yourself with gasoline that's really simple is use a synthetic type product. And, you know, in my shop at Keller Brothers, we use a synthetic blend oil just as a basic oil because it increases the viscosity or the slipperiness, therefore reducing friction and saving you a ton of gas. Now, we've talked about this machine before. You know, it's changing the fuel filter is great. You can pour stuff in your tank, but it won't do anything like what this does. And I do this to my car every year. It's a motor vac carbon clean. Basically what this does is it goes through the entire fuel system of the car, and it cleans out your injectors, your fuel rails, your lines, all that stuff. I change the fuel filter at the same time. And then the additional cool thing about this is that it uses a detergent rather than a solvent, so this stuff's environmentally friendly. I mean, you can pour this in the grass. Okay, I wouldn't suggest it; it'd be a waste of money, but it's not going to kill anything or harm the environment in any way. And what this detergent will do is it'll actually go, with this machine's help, it clean out your emission system, so you're going to be blowing less smoke into the environment. Now, you know, I know some people say, "Oh, I've heard enough of this green stuff." Other people say, "Hey, it's the most important thing." Look, no matter where you sit on it, nobody likes to breathe that stuff or see it. It's a symptom of something wrong in the vehicle, which means that you're spending more money and you're risking yourself getting into a situation that, you know, obviously could cost you a lot more. Replacing some of these components, if you just let them go, is not cheap. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. What do you think, Tom? Have you been watching your economy?
Yeah, no, I am, but you got to keep your car healthy. That's for sure.
Hey, man, you can't ignore it.
If you're going to keep it longer, why not take care of it? Get the most miles out of every dollar.
It pays off. Thanks as always, David Rogers from Keller Brothers Auto Repair.
It is.